Tatsumi is a dumb yet ambitious country boy who wants to make it big in the imperial capital, and he will do so one day by saving the nation with his skills and sacrifice. This all started one day when Tatsumi left his small and poor village alongside his two childhood best friends to go to the imperial capital and earn lots of money to help his people. On his way, Tatsumi encounters a first-class danger beast called the Earth Dragon, which is attacking a couple of travelers. He jumps in like a hero, immediately cuts off one of the dragon's arms, and then jumps up and butchers the beast on his way down with his sword. The travelers commend his skills and thank him for his help. After hearing his story, they warn him about the corruption running in the capital city, and then they all walk away. Upon arriving in the capital, the first thing he did was apply as a candidate for the city guard. However, to his surprise and displeasure, he was assigned as an infantry soldier, despite his aspirations to be a general due to his swordsmanship skills. The recruiter did not consider his ambitions, and Tatsumi was thrown out of the applicant's office for being conceited. Suddenly, a girl named Leon approached Tatsumi, and deducing that he wanted to fulfill his dreams in the capital, offered her assistance. Leon proposed a way for him to get hired for government services in exchange for treating her to a meal. Tatsumi agreed, and during the meal, Leon explained that to work in the government, one needed connections and money. Trusting her, the young man handed over all his money, but Leon deceived him and left. Desperate and without money, Tatsumi decided to sleep on the street. That night, a young noblewoman named Aria approached him and offered him accommodation at her house. Tatsumi graciously accepted. Upon arriving at Aria's home, Tatsumi spoke with her parents and revealed that he wanted to achieve military fame to save his village, which was suffering from famine. He had left his village with two friends, but they had become separated along the way. Aria's family took pity on Tatsumi and promised him a military position, as well as assistance in finding his friends. The next day, Tatsumi accompanied the guards on their errands, and one of them explained that the country was in crisis due to the emperor, a child manipulated by the prime minister. He had also warned him about a group of assassins known as Night Raid, who targeted corrupt individuals. That night, a girl from the Night Raid group broke into Aria's house and killed her mother. Tatsumi woke up startled and confronted the intruders, but was shocked to see the brutal efficiency with which Akame, one of the group members, dispatched the guards. Tatsumi tried to protect Aria, but Leon, who turned out to be part of Night Raid, killed the girl's father. The guard who was with Tatsumi asked him to face Akame while he and Aria hid in the storeroom. Tatsumi accepted the challenge, but Akame paid him no mind and killed the guard. When she was about to kill Aria, Tatsumi intervened, unleashing a brief battle. Just as Akame was about to eliminate Tatsumi, Leon stepped in to save him, remembering her debt for having swindled him. Tatsumi couldn't understand why Night Raid was attacking an apparently innocent family, but Leon revealed the cruel truth. In Aria's family's storeroom, there were many villagers, tortured and murdered for fun. Among them, Tatsumi found his friends Ayasu and Seo in terrible condition. With no other option, Aria revealed her true nature, admitting that she considered the villagers as mere toys. Desperate and filled with rage, Tatsumi drew his sword and advanced towards Aria. Before dying, his friend Ayasu asked him to honor their master's name and save their village. With this newfound determination, Tatsumi decided to join Night Raid to fight against corruption and save his people. On the other hand, Leon recruits Tatsumi upon seeing that he shares their ideals, introducing him to the group as the newest member of Night Raid at their headquarters. First, she introduces him to Shiel, who asks him to join their group, warning him that if he doesn't, they would have to eliminate him since he now knows their secret hideout. Next comes Mine, another member of the team who was only teasing our protagonist, telling him he wasn't approved to join their clan. Leon then introduces the next member, Bulat. He greets Tatsumi warmly, though he plays a prank on him, making Tatsumi think he was romantically interested in him. Next is Lubak, who, as usual, was planning to spy on Leon while she bathed, earning himself a thorough beating from her. Finally, Leon introduces Akame, who was eating an animal called an evil bird, but refused to share it with Tatsumi because he hadn't yet agreed to join their group. To Leon's surprise, Najenda, the leader of them all, arrives and scolds Leon for taking so long to complete her mission. She then gathers all the team members for reports. Najenda proposes that Tatsumi join the team. At first, Tatsumi is hesitant, but they convince him by explaining that the reason his village is poor is because of the corruption in the capital, especially due to the prime minister, who is the main cause of the country's decline. Their goal is to eliminate him to bring about true change in the country. What finally convinces him is the promise to save his village from any danger. Thus, Tatsumi becomes an official member of the group, and Najenda asks Akame to train him. Akame, in turn, puts him to work on everyday tasks like preparing meals for everyone. Later, they go to the river, where Akame teaches him how to fish, giving a demonstration and catching a good amount. However, when Tatsumi, confident, tries to do the same, he only manages to catch 2 tunas. leaving everyone with little to eat. The agenda asked Leon to provide the report for a new assignment. A woman had hired night raid services to eliminate 3 men known as Gamalios. It turns out that Gamal bribed Ogre every time he committed an injustice, framing innocence for his crimes. One of these people was the woman's fiancé, who paid a generous sum to have both of them destroyed. The leader accepted the assignment, and Leon mentions that Gamal is an easy target, but Ogre is a highly skilled and cautious swordsman. Since the mission would take place in a busy area of the capital, Akame couldn't go because she is the most wanted. Tatsumi volunteers to eliminate Ogre, and although he is confident, Akame warns him not to claim victory until the mission is complete, or else he will only dig his own grave. During the mission, Leon tells Tatsumi the story of Akame to help him understand her better. Akame was recruited by the capital's army to become a professional assassin. Realizing the corruption among the high ranks, she decided to join an agenda to protect the citizens and fight against the corruption. First, Leon and Akame easily eliminate Gamal. Then Tatsumi lures Ogre to a secluded spot under the pretext of seeking his help to join the Imperial Army. Ogre refuses, and just as he is about to kill Tatsumi, Tatsumi strikes first. Believing he has completed his mission, Tatsumi lowers his guard, but Ogre gets back up and begins to fight back. Upon discovering that Tatsumi is part of Night Raid, Ogre deduces that the one who hired them is the one he wrongfully accused. Enraged, Ogre reveals that he made the girl suffer by killing her entire family in front of her. This infuriates Tatsumi, who quickly dispatches Ogre in a fit of rage. Back at headquarters, Tatsumi reports to an agenda that the mission is complete. In doing so, he earns Akame's respect by showing that he was able to accomplish the objective without getting injured. Activities like preparing meals and fishing taught him the importance of teamwork and improved his skills in eliminating targets. Tatsumi was assigned to train with Mai, the girl who had always been teasing him. Some invaders had managed to locate the secret base of Night Raid, so the leader ordered the team to exterminate them. Mai quickly eliminated 3 of the invaders who had just arrived. With her sniper rifle, she had one in her sights who was approaching the base. Before she could attack, Shield took out another invader who was about to strike Mine. This allowed Mine to take a long-range shot and eliminate the last enemy. Meanwhile, Leon used her wolf-like speed to take down her respective enemies. Bulat demonstrated his incredible skill by defeating 5 enemies simultaneously. After the mission, Tatsumi, while in his room, reflected on the time he had spent with his friends, which motivated him to keep striving. The next day, Tatsumi awaited Mine for his training. Shio mentioned that Mine didn't wake up early and offered to wake her up herself, but the leader asked Tatsumi to do it. Tatsumi complied, and when he opened Mine's room door, he found her in her underwear. Wow, it seems that this boy is finally going to know the face of God. Enraged, Mine shot at him for being an inconsiderate intruder who didn't knock. After this, they both went to the capital as part of Tatsumi's training. Mine informed him that he would now be her subordinate. While walking through the capital, they encountered some men bullying a little girl. As expected, they intervened to defend her, and Mine advised the girl to learn to defend herself to avoid being a victim of abuse. Tatsumi asked Mine if it was safe to walk around the capital so casually. Mine responded that it was fine, as only a few members of the team were known by sight, not all of them. Afterward, Mine went shopping and forced Tatsumi to carry all her purchases, which annoyed him since she wasn't teaching him any actual training. Mine became irritated and revealed that Tatsumi still lacked a lot of experience to reach her level. This spurred Tatsumi even more to progress for the sake of his fallen friends. Later, Tatsumi witnessed his first public executions, which left him astonished. Mine explained that these were the deeds of the Prime Minister, who had manipulated the young king to secure the throne. Mine wished to eliminate the Prime Minister to free herself from his control. We are introduced to the young king of the country, who is being manipulated by the elderly Prime Minister. The latter has ordered the execution of a government official who opposed the ruler's laws. The official, filled with courage, requested that someone bring justice to the Prime Minister. The leader of the group, meanwhile, sent everyone to eliminate a relative of the Prime Minister named ones who captured women to flog them to death. Mine and Tatsumi positioned themselves on a mountain so that Mine could eliminate ones with a single shot. This prompted the guards at one's house to quickly search for the attacker. Leon and the other team members were waiting in a location to deal with the guards. Mine revealed to Tatsumi that Ones was protected by students from the Quan Chi Temple, trained in all forms of martial arts. She also shared that she had a tragic childhood, as people disliked her for being half foreign. Her goal was to end discrimination so that no one else would suffer as she had, as well as to become rich from the bounty. After Leon and the others dealt with the guards, Akame noticed that one was missing. This guard attacked Mine and Tatsumi, who defended her by holding the guard by the waist to immobilize him, allowing Mine to take a shot and eliminate him. Mine was about to acknowledge Tatsumi's efforts, but he became angry because Mine's shot had badly cut his hair. They argued about it. Meanwhile, someone was interested in finding Akame, having realized that she was a user of a Tegu, special weapons used to eliminate enemies. After Bulat trained Tatsumi, he and Akame decided to help prepare breakfast for everyone. The leader received a new assignment for the team to investigate a series of nocturnal murders. A man known as Zank the Executioner was eliminating several people on the orders of the Prime Minister. The increase in executions had driven Zank to madness, turning the slaughter into his routine. After being released from prison, Zank returned to the capital, driven by his thirst for blood. Zank wielded a Tegu, a combat instrument created by the first emperor of the country to protect the realm. A total of 48 Tegus were made, but over time and through conflicts, many were lost. The members of Night Raid possessed some of these powerful artifacts. If two Tegu users faced each other, one had to be eliminated, as a tie would result in the destruction of both. The leader sent her team to the capital to eliminate Zank. Upon arrival, Zank had already targeted everyone but focused first on Tatsumi, impressed by his sense of justice. As Tatsumi wandered off to attend to his needs, Zank captured him, causing him to hallucinate seeing his best friend, Sayo. This led Tatsumi to a secluded spot away from Akame. Zank introduced himself as the executioner and revealed that his Tegu had the special ability to read both the thoughts and movements of his opponents, putting Tatsumi at a disadvantage. Although Tatsumi tried to fight back, he only managed to injure himself. However, he did manage to give Zank a scratch, which surprised him. Fortunately, at that moment, Akame arrived to defend Tatsumi. She discovered that Zank's power was rooted in his mind and decided to think of nothing to confuse him. Despite this, her attacks were only partially effective, as Zank could also read her movements. This mistake left Akame injured. Zank mentioned that he heard many voices in his head from all the people he had executed. He asked Akame how she dealt with this, and she revealed that she heard nothing. This enraged Zank, who then created a hallucination of his sister Kurom, whom he had loved the most. In a hallucination, Kurom attacked Akame, believing she would be defenseless. However, Akame defended herself without hesitation, which further enraged Zank. With a single strike, Akame ended the giant's life. Before dying, Zank thanked Akame for freeing him from the voices in his head. After the mission, Akame asked Tatsumi for help in preparing the meal, telling him that he had become very important to her, just like everyone else in the group. Shield is now in charge of Tatsumi's training, making him swim with heavy armor on. Since Shield had no other duties in the house, she could focus specifically on Tatsumi's training. She tells him that due to her distracted nature, she always ended up being a disaster in everything she did. She grew up in the central district of the capital, where everyone treated her very poorly because of her clumsiness. One day, she met a girl who was the only one to treat her kindly. They spent hours talking until one day, while they were at her friend's house, her friend's ex-boyfriend arrived, accusing her of abandoning him. Under the influence of substances, he started smashing everything in the house and choking her friend. Shield felt she had to help, so she dealt with the ex-boyfriend. Fortunately, nothing happened to her, but she never saw her friend again after the incident. However, the ex-boyfriend's associates sought revenge and eliminated Shield's entire family. She defended herself and eliminated each one of them, realizing that her lack of inhibitions made her an excellent eliminator. Putting that story aside, the boss asks Tatsumi to try on a Tegu, but it turns out that it is not compatible with him. The boss decides instead to send it for analysis to see how it might be used. Additionally, Tatsumi is informed that his mission is to obtain all the existing Tegus. The boss mentions that the most powerful Tegu is the one that controls ice, and it is currently in the possession of a hero named Numasika in the north of the country, who is training his troops to invade the capital. For this reason, the emperor has dispatched an army led by a woman to stop him. Tatsumi is motivated by this, wanting to obtain all the Tegus, believing that one of them might bring back the deceased with the hope of seeing his friends again. Unfortunately, the team members make it clear to him that he should abandon that hope, as there is no Tegu that can do that. This saddens Tatsumi, who goes outside to think. Shield arrives to comfort him. On the other hand, it turns out that the troops sent from the capital to stop Numasika were victorious thanks to the generals. Meanwhile, Tatsumi, strolling through the capital with Leon, ends up being pursued by a group of men whom Leon had swindled. It turns out that two of the emperor's top generals had abandoned their posts to join the rebel army, but this does not concern the emperor, who is focused on eliminating the Night Raid group. The prime minister detests them because they had eliminated his ally, Honest, and wanted them eliminated as soon as possible, even going so far as to bring back the deceased commanders to achieve this. Let us return to Tatsumi, who had become lost in a part of the capital. The girl from the Imperial Guard came to his aid. It turned out that the girl possessed an organic Tegu and was the only one compatible with it. Tatsumi knew he needed to report this to his superior. However, the girl named Siryu showed great interest in finding the night raid group to eliminate them in revenge for killing her commander Ogre, who had taught her everything she knew. Curiously, Siryu had helped the very person who had killed Ogre. Leon and Tatsumi were carrying out a mission together. They had to eliminate some villains in the red zone who were capturing several girls to force them into labor. Leon and Tatsumi infiltrated their base to take out everyone involved in this trade. At the end of the mission, Leon made sure to send doctors to check on the girls who were in critical condition. On the other hand, Mine and Shield were on a mission together, but they did not expect a girl named Siryu to be hunting them down for a confrontation. Siryu sought revenge for all those Mine and Shield had eliminated, especially for her father, who had died fighting against groups like theirs, and for Mr. Ogre, who had been her instructor. In the confrontation, Mine begins to attack, but Siryu manages to defend herself and sends her Tegu to attack Shield. Although Shield suffers severe damage, Siryu's Cerberus regenerates rapidly. Mai mentions that the book given by their superior stated that organic Tegus have a core that allows them to regenerate. She seizes the opportunity to send her Tegu to attack both of them and calls for reinforcements to face them together. Mine gradually weakens Siryu, and Shield directly confronts the pink-haired girl to eliminate her. Siryu proves to be strong, but Shield manages to cut off both of her arms and evade her attacks. It turns out that Siryu had modified her body for combat. Just when it seemed like things had calmed down, Siryu orders her Tegu to perform its secret transformation, and the dog becomes extremely powerful, beginning to crush Mine with all its might. Shield has no choice but to rescue her friend, but unfortunately, by letting her guard down, Siryu ends up killing her and her Tegu devours her. This enrages Mine, who is determined to finish off Siryu at any cost. However, seeing that Siryu's reinforcements are already arriving, Shield, with her last breaths, sacrifices herself so that Mine can escape. She says her goodbyes to all her friends in the Night Raid group. At the end of the battle, Siryu is very pleased to have eliminated one of the Night Raid members, mentioning her deceased father and feeling that she has fulfilled part of her revenge. Meanwhile, the group is deeply saddened by Shield's death. Tatsumi is the most distraught and wants to confront immediately the person who killed his comrade, but Bulat strikes him to calm him down, reminding him that in any mission there is a high probability of not coming out alive. The superior makes it clear that they must not take battles lightly, as they will now face individuals with Tegus, viewing this as an opportunity to collect more Tegus. Putting that aside, Esdeath has finally arrived in the capital. Returning to the capital, Esdeath presents herself before the Emperor to inform him of everything that has transpired. The Emperor, pleased, rewards her with a generous amount of money. Additionally, he asks her what else she desires as a reward. With a mischievous smile, Esdeath responds that she would like to experience what love is. The Emperor, always eager to please, suggests making a list of the best men in the kingdom to present to her. Esdeath agrees but clarifies that they must meet her standards, otherwise she will not be interested in any of them. After what happened with Chelsea, Tatsumi noticed that Akame was surprisingly calm. Admiring her, he thought she must have already gotten used to this kind of work killing. As for Esdeath, one cannot understand why she suddenly became curious about experiencing love, but well, to each their own. Meanwhile, all the members of Night Raid have to continue hunting, although Esdeath assigns a very important mission to her underlings. One night, Tatsumi goes to the kitchen in search of water and is surprised to find Akame there. He thought she was just there for a midnight snack, but in reality she was preparing Shield's favorite snacks to keep her memory alive. Tatsumi admires her gesture, as despite the loss, Akame remains calm. However, she confesses that she never gets used to losing a friend, even though she has experienced it many times. Tatsumi understands her and promises that she will never suffer because of him. The next day, feeling motivated, Tatsumi trains intensely. Seeing his enthusiasm, Bulat decides to train with him, giving him tips to improve his attack technique. Meanwhile, Esdeath's underlings are tasked with eliminating a political official who strongly opposed the government's laws. The three underlings are experts at what they do and quickly manage to eliminate the politician and his daughter, blaming the Night Raid group for the attack. This information reaches an agenda, who communicates it to the group. First, she tells them that Esdeath has already arrived in the capital and asks Leon to monitor her movements. Additionally, she mentions that the people eliminated by Esdeath's underlings were important members of the rebel group opposing the Prime Minister. She assigns them the mission of dividing into two groups to protect two politicians. Akame and Leon are to protect one in a village, while Tatsumi and Bulat are to accompany the other on a cruise. As they board the ship, Tatsumi thinks it's unlikely that the politician will be attacked since he is surrounded by many people. Bulat warns him not to let his guard down and shares a story from his time in the Imperial Army. His general was executed for refusing to accept bribes from the Prime Minister, and Bulat only managed to escape thanks to his ability to become invisible. Setting aside the memories, Tatsumi goes down to the cruise ship's basement to investigate. Meanwhile, Leon, impressed upon meeting Esdeath, decides not to attack her, feeling the overwhelming presence she exudes. Esdeath had set a trap for her, and Leon, disappointed, retreats while eating an ice cream to calm herself. Returning to Tatsumi, one of Esdeath's underlings named Mia plays a flute that causes everyone on the ship to pass out, except Tatsumi. Another underling confronts him to gain combat experience. Our protagonist, overconfident, is nearly defeated, but Bulat intervenes, scolding him for his attack techniques and teaching him what to do in a real battle. Tatsumi is impressed despite the fact that the three underlings of Esdeath were not attacking at the same time. The guy with the Elvis hairstyle managed to eliminate one and land a hit on the other two. The surprise entrance shocked everyone when one of the attackers turned out to be an old acquaintance of Bulat from his time in the capital's army. A fierce battle began between them, with the moustache captain unleashing the power of his Tegu Black Marlin to control water to his advantage and attack Bulat with a series of aquatic assaults as if he were Aquaman. Meanwhile, Nya tried to help Leber by weakening Bulat with his flute, but Tatsumi was not about to allow it and confronted him to support his Eniki. Our protagonist soon realized that the Piper was a formidable adversary with surprising combat skills. Leber, for his part, created a gigantic water dragon to attack Bulat directly, but the latter faced it head-on, dispersing the dragon to protect the ship. Leber took advantage of that moment to hit Bulat with several water blasts, but he knew that wouldn't be enough to defeat him. Then he used a secret technique that didn't give Bulat a chance to defend himself, launching several powerful attacks simultaneously. Although it seemed he had eliminated Bulat, Bulat did not give up and was about to launch a deadly attack, but Nya intervened to defend the moustached veteran. Both were already too weakened to continue using their Tegu, so Leber proposed to Bulat that he join the Imperial Army. As expected, Bulat refused, knowing that Leber was working with the Prime Minister. They decided to settle their battle in a duel of swords. Leber injected something to increase his strength, and the duel began. The Elvis imitator emerged victorious, but before dying, the moustached veteran used a technique with his blood to inject poison into Bulat's body. As both were destined to die, Nya revealed his secret technique with the flute, making himself bigger and stronger, physically resembling Erling Haaland. Tatsumi had no choice but to confront him, but Bulat, knowing his time was running out, entrusted his Tegu to Tatsumi, confident it would be compatible with him. When Tatsumi used the Tegu, it adapted perfectly to his body, evolving and feeling all of Tatsumi's motivation. He faced Nao and eliminated him with a single blow. Realizing that the battle was won, Bulat told Tatsumi that he would become stronger than him, and then he died as the hero he was. Tatsumi lamented not being able to do more. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Kurom, Akame's sister, who worked for the Imperial Army. She had been called to the capital because she was selected to be part of a group tasked with eliminating Night Raid. Mine plans to avenge the deaths of her comrades Shiel and Bulat. In the training grounds, Tatsumi and Lubbock are doing push-ups, with Akame and Leon respectively sitting on their backs. The agenda later tells Night Raid that she will leave to recruit new members and assigns Akame as the temporary leader. Leon, seeing our protagonist sad, reminded him that Bulat had full confidence that Tatsumi would become very strong, even to the point of surpassing him. This filled Tatsumi with pride, giving him another reason to carry on. Meanwhile, the boss was forming a new group of Tegu users. On another note, we see a small segment where she was bidding farewell to her subordinates who had passed away. The next day, we met Wave, a Tegu wielder summoned to the capital to join the special team of generals. Upon entering the room where the other members were, the team consisted of Kuron, Akame's sister, Serio, Dr. Stylish, Run, and Bowles. Although Bowles was the first to arrive, his shyness caused him to introduce himself last. Once assembled, the new members, who were quite peculiar characters, were put to the test in a small skirmish. After the confrontation, they were informed that their group, called the Jaegers, would be tasked with eliminating Night Raid. Later, while Wave and Bowles were preparing food, Day revealed his interest in understanding what love is. Additionally, Day wanted to organize a tournament to find the new Tegu wielder that had been taken the day before. Regarding Tatsumi, Lubbock warned him about how dangerous General Esdeath was. It turns out that when Night Raid's leader, Agenda, was part of the Empire's army, she worked alongside Esdeath, describing her as a ruthless woman who would eliminate anyone who crossed her path. Lubbock suggested that Tatsumi participate in the martial arts tournament organized by Esdeath, as she would be present. Meanwhile, the Emperor asked the Prime Minister why people were interested in those of the opposite gender. It seems the little one wanted to experience the adult world. The Prime Minister explained that there is a certain age when that happens, and that was what was happening with General Esdeath. However, by Esdeath's standards, it seemed impossible to find someone who met her expectations. During the tournament, our protagonist quickly defeated a very confident participant who had been a master of imperial arts. This greatly impressed Isdif, who ended up falling in love with him at that moment. After the fight, she descended into the arena to congratulate Tatsumi on his victory. He thought he would receive a reward, but was surprised when Isdif chained him up and told him that from now on he would belong to her, rendering him unconscious to take him away with her as her captive. That boy really is in luck, really. If a girl with big breasts like that kidnaps you, I don't understand what the problem would be. Quickly, both Leon and Lubbock informed Akame of what had happened. Akame decided to monitor the surroundings of the capital, waiting for an opportunity to rescue Tatsumi. She takes her little love interest to see her team in action, showing him that each member possesses a teigu that makes them stronger than normal. This impresses Tatsumi, who decides he will try to convince Isdif to join them, taking advantage of her affection for him, and together they can fight against the capital. When they both arrived in the room, out of nowhere, Isdif kissed Tatsumi, seizing the moment that was unfolding. She was not willing to waste any more time. Tatsumi, who was nervous and didn't understand much about women, took this opportunity to mention that he would join the rebel army to end the tyranny of the capital, inviting her to join him so they could fight together for the good of the people. This angered Isdif, and she slapped him. She thought Tatsumi believed this because of the tough time he's been having, making it clear to him that he doesn't need to be afraid because nothing bad will happen to him while he's with her. Furthermore, she assures him that she won't love anyone but him. Tatsumi makes it clear that his goal isn't personal happiness. He wants to fix the kingdom, but Isdif doesn't understand. To her, society functions correctly, the strongest survive. Tatsumi asks her that if she loves him, to change her principles and join him, promising that he will change her mind. Moments earlier, Isdif introduces Tatsumi to her team as her partner, asking Bowles what she should do to win Tatsumi's heart. Bowles advises her not to melt too easily. In the end, he will fall for her charms. The next day, Isdif informs her team that she will go hunting at dusk, dividing her group into 2 teams. Her true purpose was to show her beloved Tatsumi her great combat skills to win him over. During this journey, Tatsumi ends up paired with Wave and they engage in a battle against attacking tree-like creatures. After the fight, Tatsumi seizes the opportunity to escape while wearing his incursion armor. However, he didn't anticipate that Wave would use the power of his teigu to track Tatsumi down and attack him while he's in the armor. Wave didn't recognize Tatsumi because he was wearing the incursion armor. Wave confronted Tatsumi, but Tatsumi, who didn't want to fight anyone, quickly fled from the battle. No matter how hard he tried, Wave wouldn't let him escape. During one of the attacks, Wave left Tatsumi buried underwater, taking the opportunity to flee. Tatsumi managed to reach the riverbank, where Akame arrived just in time to save him once again, as a monster was trying to eat him. She took him along with the wolf to their headquarters, as they were in enemy territory. Isdif punishes Wave for letting her beloved Tatsumi escape, emphasizing that while she loves Tatsumi deeply, the lives of her subordinates come first. She orders them to do whatever it takes to capture him. Isdif also remarks that if Tatsumi allows himself to be easily eliminated, it means he lacked development as a man, expressing confidence that he can handle her subordinates. As for Tatsumi, the Heartbreaker informs his team about everything he observed regarding Isdif's team, revealing that all its members are as strong as they are, but Isdif herself is on another level. Akame isn't worried about this, promising that she will eliminate Isdif herself. Meanwhile, Dr. Stylish discovered Knight's secret base thanks to Tatsumi, knowing he belonged to that group. While the Night Raid team rested, Dr. Stylish and his team attacked Night Raid's headquarters. It turned out one of the Doctor's soldiers revealed they were genetically modified, but this posed no problem for Lubbock, who swiftly eliminated them. However, upon realizing there were many more modified soldiers, he fled the scene until Camilo arrived to rescue him. At that moment, a boy named Takeo appeared to confront Akame, knowing he was very strong. Lubbock couldn't assist her as he had another opponent. Meanwhile, Tatsumi easily disposed of the Doctor's modified soldiers until a man named Kakosa appeared, wielding the teigu taken from Shield, namely the scissors. Kakosa faced Tatsumi with a wide grin and a drunken expression. On the other hand, the Doctor revealed he was using everyone in his team as guinea pigs for his experiments. Returning to the battle, Tatsumi was at a disadvantage as Kakosa had him cornered. At that moment, Mine intervened to defend him. Kakosa was very confident he could withstand Mine's direct attack, but he didn't anticipate that Mine's ability enhances her attacks the more endangered she is. She quickly defeated Kakosa and reclaimed the teigu. Just then, Magenda, the leader of the Night Raid group, arrived with reinforcements to finish off their enemies. Returning to Akame, she managed to defeat Takeo despite him being a genetically modified human. Meanwhile, Tatsumi and Mine were distracted by their leader's arrival, and the formidable Boric attempted to attack Mine from behind. Fortunately, Leon arrived to intercept his attack and put an end to him. When the entire Migrate team gathered, they decided to eliminate the remaining soldiers of the doctor. However, all the members, except Tatsumi, were weakened by the poison that one of the doctor's soldiers had infused them with through his gaze. Just when all seemed lost, the leader sent Susanoo to deal with all the soldiers, which he did successfully. This enraged the doctor, who made his soldiers explode to harm Susanoo. But to everyone's surprise, Susanoo is an organic being who can regenerate at will. Sensing the doctor, Nagenda sent Susanoo to prevent his escape and eliminate him. Cornered, Dr. Stylish injected himself with a serum that turned him into a giant monster, also devouring his allies to gain more strength. Tatsumi, in turn, brought Mine so she could fight alongside him and Susanoo. Unfortunately, they were all struggling to find a way to defeat him. It was then that Mine unleashed one of her powerful attacks, weakening the doctor. Akame seized that opportunity to completely eliminate him, thus ending the battle. The leader introduced the team to their new hideout and the new members. Chelsea, a girl with special abilities that almost rivaled Akame's. She asked them to get along well as they were now teammates. Then she introduced Susanoo, an automaton she acquired from the Revolutionary Army. When the team asked about his special abilities, the leader demonstrated. Susanoo built a house and cooked various delicious dishes. He's the man every woman would want. Besides being an expert combat bodyguard, he's also a master at household chores. Meanwhile, Commander Esdeef received news that Dr. Stylish had disappeared along with the soldiers he was experimenting on. Concerned about how her subordinate Syria would take the news, Esdeef tried to console her. Syria tried to stay strong but couldn't help crying as she remembered the doctor. Esdeef embraced her, assuring her that they could avenge his death. Back with the leader, she asked the team to focus on training to strengthen themselves, implying they should stop eating and start working hard. After Akame and Susanoo caught a large fish, everyone was impressed with Susanoo's culinary skills. It seems our protagonists lost their little place of favoritism. Tatsumi and Leon couldn't help laughing at the leader as Susanoo mistook her for a man, and she gave them a couple of hits for being cheeky. Chelsea demonstrated her ability to transform into anything, turning into a cat and stealing cake from Mine. The next day, Tatsumi and Leon went out around the hideout to eliminate beasts. Leon was impressed to see how Tatsumi had improved his skills, knowing that one day he would surpass Bulat. After defeating the beasts, they returned to the village where Chelsea acknowledged the team's efforts but warned them that strength isn't everything. Reading through the team's records, Chelsea pointed out they could be caught out due to their naivety. This angered Mine, who, along with Tatsumi and Lubbock, planned a prank to teach the young woman named after the English club a lesson. Tatsumi, following Lubbock's idea, turned invisible and threw a bucket of cold water at Chelsea while she was bathing. However, Chelsea transformed into Susanoo, revealing she could see him even when invisible and gave him advice for improvement. She then returned to her normal form and explained that her former team was eliminated, and she didn't want the same fate to befall them, which was why she was so strict. Meanwhile, Esdeef strolled through the city, searching for her beloved Tatsumi. Her lackey showed her a list of men who resembled him, but Esdeef made it clear that there was only one Tatsumi for her. The lackey, with ulterior motives, continued to watch over Esdeef, who felt that something was about to change, possibly an epic battle. Soon, Commander Esdeef informs the Emperor of the recent progress, receiving praise from the young ruler, as the Night Raid team has been quiet. However, the Emperor mentions that they have not found the man with the requested characteristics by the general. With an enigmatic smile, the general responds that it is no longer necessary as she has found a man she has fallen deeply in love with. In a private audience, the Prime Minister asks the general to eliminate the creatures emerging around the capital, but with a request to capture some for investigation. The general agrees, asking that the reward be directed to her northern troops. Without delay, the Jaeger team pounces on the creatures, skillfully annihilating them. The general, cunning and efficient, captures 3 of these beasts for the minister. After completing this small mission, Wave feels outraged upon seeing Bowles, a kind-hearted man, being mistreated because of his imposing appearance. Bowles, with a deep and resigned voice, mentions that he is not a kind man, that his past actions have generated repulsion, and he considers this part of his penance. However, he finds solace in the unconditional love and support of his wife and daughter. By the way, no one expected him to have a family, right? Elsewhere in the capital, Tatsumi trains hard with Susanoo, who teaches him to avoid unnecessary movements in combat and to focus his attacks on the adversary's weak point. Although Tatsumi struggles to understand at first, he gradually becomes familiar with Susanoo, considering him an essential part of the team, despite being a mere tegu. Suddenly, Akame arrives in a hurry to inform them that the boss has called an emergency meeting. Human-like beasts have emerged and must be eliminated from the outskirts of the capital. Although the Prime Minister has sent the Jaeger team, the boss decides to join the hunt to speed up the process. The entire team agrees except for Chelsea, the girl with a British team name, who suggests that the capital should handle it on its own. Tatsumi persuades her, reminding her that their mission is to protect the people, and Chelsea reluctantly agrees to join the mission. Meanwhile, Suzuno tells our protagonist that he should close the cage before the little bird escapes, causing all the girls in the group to laugh and embarrass him. Meanwhile, Run investigates the origin of the creatures, discovering that they might be experiments of the sinister Dr. Stylish. Upon finding the enemy's lair, Run realizes that the doctor plans to capture all the members of the Night Raid team for his experiments. Although the capital understands the threat, they still haven't identified who released the creatures. From the shadows, the responsible party watches as the Jager team meticulously eliminates them. Alone somewhere, Tatsumi questions Lubbock about his devotion to Negenda. The green-haired young man reveals that he has known her since she joined the Imperial Guard. A young Lubbock, outstanding and from a wealthy family, fell madly in love with Negenda at first sight. Determined to be by her side, he joined the Imperial Army. But when Negenda left the army, Lubbock faked his death and erased all his records to join the Night Raid team. While patrolling the area, Tatsumi decides to explore the mountains, where he unexpectedly encounters Esdeath, who is also wandering there. Without hesitation, she fervently embraces him and asks about his presence in the area. Tatsumi explains that he is there to eradicate the creatures terrorizing the people. Despite Esdeath's attempts to persuade him to join the Revolutionary Army, Tatsumi remains steadfast in his resolve. Admiring his determination, she embraces him again but realizes there is someone else in the vicinity and prepares to confront them. In that remote place, the figure dominating the scene was Esdeath. Without a word, with an almost imperceptible gesture, she activated her Tegu, and in an instant, both our protagonist and the surroundings vanish, relocating to a distant location. Tatsumi, still disoriented by the sudden transition, struggled to comprehend the new reality unfolding before his eyes. Noticing his confusion, Esdeath decided to clarify the situation. Her Tegu had the extraordinary power to manipulate space and time, a skill reserved for a select few. After this brief explanation, Esdeath demonstrated her prowess once more, erecting an imposing mountain of ice in a matter of seconds, from which they could observe the perimeter of the island. The view that unfolded before them was of sublime beauty. However, the tranquility of the moment was abruptly interrupted when a colossal creature, reminiscent of Dr. Stylish's final transformation, emerged from the ocean. Tatsumi, overwhelmed by fear, doubted his ability to face such a threat. Nevertheless, seeing the skill with which Esdeath fought the monster, he felt inspired to join the battle. Together, and thanks to Esdeath's impressive ability, they managed to bring down the beast. But the danger was not over. Another monster appeared and Esdeath effortlessly annihilated it, once again demonstrating her overwhelming strength. With the atmosphere now calmer, Esdeath suggested exploring the island to become familiar with their surroundings. Tatsumi, now confident in his companion's abilities, agreed without hesitation. Who could say no to such a beautiful and strong woman? Thus, they began to explore the island, enjoying moments of camaraderie. As night fell, Esdeath revealed that they had arrived at an island southwest of the capital. She proposed that Tatsumi stay a few more days to enjoy her company, but intrigued by Esdeath's unusual serenity, he declined the offer. The girl with the big breasts really did everything possible to advance, but our boy is very quiet. Esdeath then confessed that she had found a way to return. She had marked the island with her Tegu, allowing her to teleport back to their original location at any time. Before leaving, Esdeath showed interest in learning more about our protagonist. He recounted his childhood in a village where a former soldier taught him martial arts and weapon forging, skills that allowed him to survive in the capital. Esdeath, in turn, shared details of her own past. She belonged to the Partis clan, a tribe dedicated to hunting dangerous beasts from childhood. Her father instilled in her the belief that the weak perish before the strong and only the strongest survive. One fateful day, a northern tribe attacked the Partis, and in his last moments, Esdeath's father warned her that they had been defeated because they were weak, urging her to become stronger. With this conviction, Esdeath continued hunting beasts until she joined the Imperial Army, rising to become a captain. Tatsumi, who believed that Esdeath had destroyed the northern tribes out of revenge, was surprised to learn that she was simply following orders from the capital, understanding that her father died because he was weak. Without natural enemies to face, Esdeath obeyed higher orders, eliminating those she was instructed to. Curious, Tatsumi asked Esdeath about the appearance of her Tegu. She revealed that it resided within herself. When selecting a Tegu, she'd chosen the Demon's Extract, ignoring the Prime Minister's warnings about its danger. Fortunately, she was compatible with the Tegu, gaining the power to control ice at will. Tatsumi, who thought that Esdeath enjoyed inflicting suffering, discovered that her nature had always been the same even before acquiring her Tegu. While they were hunting a flying beast to leave the island, Esdeath's Tegu activated. Tatsumi alerted her, and together they returned to their starting point. Upon arrival, Tatsumi quickly hid, taking advantage of the distraction to escape Esdeef's watchful eye. With her usual skill, Chelsea eliminated a corrupt leader in a small town and transformed into a cat to avoid being detected by the Jaegers. This teaches us a lesson, doesn't it? You can't trust cats. However, she soon realized she was in trouble when Esdeef had her in her sights. Leona, always the joker, suggested handing over Tatsumi keep them safe, while the group teased him for having been with her on that island and sharing some romantic moments with that strong woman. The boss, who had just come out of the shower, thanked our protagonist for having sacrificed himself for the group with the enemy, and the boss confessed that she had known Esdeef for many years. Then our protagonist, who couldn't keep quiet, asked her age and confessed that he thought the boss was much older and obviously received his due punishment after opening his big mouth. Meanwhile, Suri was dealing with some simple thieves, arguing that they deserved to be exterminated. This attitude seemed twisted to one of the girls who was with these ruffians, as she said she had helped because she was threatened and asked for a fair trial. Wave, who was watching the situation, recognized that the capital was worse than he had imagined. Despite everything, he had to settle accounts. The head of Night Raid informed the team about a plan from the Revolutionary Army to take advantage of an uprising by the Path of Peace group against the capital to increase their influence. Tatsumi disagreed, as many lives would be lost, but the boss made it clear that they could not stop the uprising as the inhabitants were determined to rebel. The lady with the eye patch explained how each moment would unfold, both for them and their allies. Additionally, she revealed that within the Path of Peace religious organization, there was an imposter named Boric, sent by the Prime Minister to become the leader and stop the uprising. The team's mission was to eliminate Boric and then directly attack the Jaegers, drawing them away from the capital so they would not have the advantage. The headquarters had asked them to finish off Kurome and her sister Akame, and Tatsumi was determined to face them. Finally, the real battle began. Wave informed Esdeef that they had found members of Night Raid in the eastern villages. She, with her typical air of superiority, prepared to confront them, unaware that it was part of Night Raid's plan to draw her attention while they enjoyed a summer afternoon, all the girls in swimsuits while the boys were hormonally excited. Akame felt distressed knowing that this time she would have to face her sister, and Mine reminded her that even if she lost her sister, she would always have them. Elsewhere, Esdeef realized that Night Raid had set a trap, splitting into two groups to draw the Jaegers away from the capital. She sent Kurome, Bulls, and Run on a mission while she would face Night Raid. Kurome and her team, while riding, encountered a scarecrow that turned out to be a trap. Mine attacked Kurome from afar, but she managed to dodge the attack. All the members of Night Raid were present, facing Kurome and Bulls. Wave was thrown far away by Susanoo, and the head of Night Raid mentioned that both were targets of the Revolutionary Army. Bulls, determined not to be easily eliminated, showed his special ability, turning the people he had eliminated into puppets. Akame, upset, went to fight her sister, but Kurome stopped her with her puppet Nada, a childhood friend of both. Just when Bulls was about to eliminate Akame, Tatsumi arrived to save her. Kurome, confident, had her special beast launch an attack to finish them all, but was surprised to see everyone defending themselves effectively. Susanoo faced Kurome's beast, while Mine fought against a girl with fire powers. Tatsumi was facing two opponents at once, a gorilla beast and a guy with speed abilities. Akame was fighting directly with Bulls and his human shield, while Leon was facing a guy with whips. Kurome presented her puppets, Doikin, a tribe eliminator from the north, a very strong bodyguard named Rokugo, and Nana, the childhood friend. In the confrontation, Leon took the general's whip and used it to help Akame. The head of Night Raid revealed that their plan was to separate the Jaegers, but they would continue fighting. Akame and Bulls were evenly matched until Leon arrived to help. Meanwhile, Esdeef defeated her comrades so that he could rest in peace, and with Susanoo's help, they defeated General Rokugo. Susanoo revealed the weak point of Kurome's beast, allowing them to defeat it with a single attack. Tatsumi, with Chelsea's help, eliminated an enemy disguised as an old friend from his tribe. Mine was swallowed by a puppet toad of Kurome, but managed to escape, and Susanoo and the boss cornered Kurome. Confidently, Kurome planned to eliminate them all, but Akame and Leon performed a combined attack that destroyed Bulls' Tegu. Bulls, for his part, knew that his weapon was useless and decided to destroy it, causing a massive explosion at the site. After the explosion, Kurome quickly fled, aware that she could not face the entire team alone. Meanwhile, Akame was distressed because Leon had fainted, fearing the worst. Surprisingly, Bulls had survived his own explosion and managed to escape. However, guilt consumed him for having destroyed his precious artifact. He nostalgically remembered the last dinner with his comrades, a warm moment he wished he could relive. On his way back to the capital, he encountered an injured girl. Compassionately, Bowles approached to help her and the girl thanked him. But it was a trap. The girl was Chelsea in disguise, who reminded him that the girl belonged to a village this giant had destroyed in the past and in the blink of an eye eliminated Bowles. In his final moments, Bowles accepted his fate, wishing only to reunite with his family one last time. Chelsea, dissatisfied with her achievement, craved more. She decided to disguise herself as Bowles and follow Kurom. Weakened, Kurom recalled her past. Both, like many other children, had been turned into assassins by the Imperial Army. They were forced to traverse a forest filled with wild beasts as a test of bravery. Both survived, but they were then separated to prevent them from depending on one another. Kurom was administered substances to strengthen her. Meanwhile, at the night raid hideout, Lubbock reported that Chelsea had gone after Kurom alone. This put everyone on high alert, and Tatsumi and Akame decided to go in support. The girl with the British club name, taking advantage of Kurom's weakness, tried to approach and finish her off. But in an unexpected twist, Kurom, revitalized by the injections, revived. Chelsea found herself fighting for her life against Kurom's puppets, who ambushed her with a sudden attack. Tatsumi and Akame, searching for Chelsea in the rain, found no trace of her around the capital. They decided to explore the city and, to their horror, discovered Chelsea's head displayed for all to see, a scene you surely didn't expect, and you must be shouting WTF. The next day, Tatsumi struggled to accept the loss of Chelsea as he prepared for the mission ahead. His objective was to infiltrate a religious organization, and there was no time for distractions or regrets. Amidst the preparations, Esdeath appeared with unsettling news. The Prime Minister had ordered her protection due to rumors that Night Raid planned to infiltrate the religious base to eliminate him. Boric, the leader of the organization, appeared indifferent to the threat. He had complete faith in the Rakshasa demons, his elite protection team. Nevertheless, Esdeath warned them not to let their guard down, and her words soon proved true. When she went to fetch Kurom in the capital, she found her injured. She lamented not being able to protect her. Kurom, after resting briefly, insisted that she was fit to rejoin the team. Although Esdeath accepted her return, she warned her not to be overconfident. Once at the religious organization's base, Kurom began to feel unwell. Wave, concerned, suggested she inform the others, but Kurom refused. She feared being eliminated if her weaknesses were discovered and preferred to die in combat rather than be discarded by the capital. Meanwhile, Tatsumi and Mime were investigating the area around the headquarters. They discovered that Boric, the founder's advisor, was using the religious organization to enrich the Prime Minister. During their investigation, they were discovered by two of Boric's bodyguards. As night fell, while Akame was in the cemetery, she encountered Ibarra, an acquaintance from her time in the Imperial Army. This man, dressed in only his undergarments and with his body modified, proved to be a formidable adversary. Meanwhile, Lobo, a member of the Rakshasa demons, feigned his death to distract the enemies and save an informant. When the enemies attempted to eliminate the informant, Lobo rose up and defended her, triggering a fierce battle against the giant with hypnotic eyes. Akame, despite the difficulties, managed to eliminate Ibarra. However, while catching her breath, she was attacked by Ron, who appeared and disappeared quickly after his assault. Meanwhile, Lobo used his skills to trap and eliminate his enemies, destroying one of their hearts and finishing off the informant using a special technique. Meanwhile, Mine and Tatsumi argued as always, and at this point they can't avoid what evil tongues say, that those who fight love each other. Suddenly, the founder of the Path of Peace appeared, urging them to confess their love, as he believed their constant quarrels were a sign that they were in love. Elsewhere, the advisor, amidst a ritual, was informed of the elimination of 3 demonic members. Although he believed his men were overestimating Night Raid, Seiryu confirmed that only they could confront them. In the majestic palace of Kyorukt, Wave and Suzuka enjoy watching Seiryu and Koro as they run around playing football with the local children. Seiryu is exuberant to see so many children on the side of justice, though she quickly becomes serious, feeling the need to protect them from the evil of the world. However, the group must return to the reality they face, and in a Night Raid hideout, an agenda communicates the next mission: infiltrate the palace and assassinate Bollock. Suzuno, on his part, who indulges the team, serves dinner to everyone to prepare them for the mission. Seiryu and Suzuka are on guard at the palace when Suzuka notices Tatsumi and Mine disguised as civilians. They both follow the members of Night Raid to the outskirts of the city. Tatsumi and Mime were trying to lure Seiryu and Suzuka away to create a distraction that would allow the rest of Night Raid to infiltrate the palace. The girl with red hair approaches our protagonist, asking if he had any of the makeup left that she used to change her appearance. She was so close that he turned red, and when he remembered the red thread of destiny mentioned above, Tatsumi and Mime begin to argue nervously like 2 children in love, without realizing that Seiryu is watching them. Shocked and disappointed to discover that Tatsumi is part of Night Raid, she decides to kill him along with Mine. Seiryu launches a large frontal attack with missiles and explosives against them, who barely manage to escape. Tatsumi confirms that Seiryu is their attacker, prompting Mine to fight her. At that moment, Suzuka begins her attack. Our protagonist faces Suzuka while Mine prepares to fight the carrot-haired girl. Seiryu launches a giant rocket at the pink-haired girl, who effortlessly destroys it and manages to momentarily incapacitate Koro by striking his core. Seiryu charges at Mine, asserting that evil can never triumph over justice. She mocks Shield's death and reveals that Koro devoured Chelsea's body after she was killed by Kurom. Mine criticizes Seiryu's morals, mentioning Ogre and Dr. Stylish, pointing out her inability to see them as villains. She calls her broken and says that evil people like her deserve to die. This enrages Seiryu, who dismisses her words and orders Koro, who is recovering from the previous attack, to enlarge his arms and attack Mine. However, Koro is powerless against Mine, who easily destroys him and counters every attack. Seiryu is shocked by Mine's increase in power. Mine explains that Pumpkin becomes stronger the greater the danger, allowing her to dominate Koro with every shot. Enraged, Seiryu commands Koro to resist, but Mine assures that she now knows the location of Koro's core and will soon destroy it. Just as she is about to destroy Koro's core, Seiryu transforms him into her trump card, Berserker, who unleashes a howling scream. Anticipating this, Mine puts earplugs in. While Koro recovers, Seiryu fires an explosive weapon at Mine, forcing her to leap out of position. Seiryu advances towards Mine, who shoots at her along the way. Seiryu quickly closes the distance, where Pumpkin's long range is ineffective, and begins a relentless physical assault, injuring Mine, but failing to finish her off due to the prior wounds inflicted by Mine. Meanwhile, Tatsumi fights against Suzuka, but is easily outmatched. Suzuka comments on Tatsumi's inexperience in combat. Despite the difference in strength, Tatsumi vows to overcome her and win. While Mine lies on the ground, a recovered Koro moves towards Seiryu and she plans an attack from both sides. In the palace, chaos reigns as Night Raid infiltrates. Susanoo effortlessly takes down Natala and Doya, forcing Kurom to fight alone. When Liam is about to attack her, Wave intervenes, declaring himself her opponent and activating Grand Chariot. Although the outcome of the fight is not shown, it is later revealed that Leon won. In the throne room, a fearful Bollock begs Esdeath to protect him, and she responds by stepping on his face and ordering him to stay in the room. In some ruins near the outskirts of the city, Tatsumi and Suzuka continue their battle. Knowing he cannot win in combat, Tatsumi decides to destroy the ruins. The debris crushes and kills Suzuka, but Tatsumi escapes. Meanwhile, Mine, struck by Seiryu's attack, recalls being persecuted for being a foreigner. With determination, she declares that she cannot die yet. Seiryu and Koro attack Mine from both sides, but she uses her trump card to pierce Koro, bifurcating him. In a final attempt, Seiryu tries to finish Mine off, leaving herself vulnerable. Mine unleashes her trump card again, brutally cutting Seiryu in half with a powerful blast from Pumpkin, avenging Shield. This attack exhausts Mine's strength. Despite losing, Seiryu reveals a hidden bomb in her skull, declaring that justice will always prevail. Mine tries to escape, but her wounds prevent her from doing so. Seiryu laughs maniacally until she sees a dying Koro face her, unable to regenerate any further. In her final moments, she shows no remorse, only lamenting that she didn't kill all her enemies and declaring through tears that she doesn't want to die. The bomb detonates, killing Seiryu and Koro, while Tatsumi saves Mine at the last second, rendering Seiryu's bomb attempt futile and ending her murderous rampage. Back at the palace, Esdeath returns to the throne room, discovering that Bollock fled in fear and now faces an agenda. Bollock attempts to escape, but Akame, Leon, and Lubbock stop him. Akame kills Holemeka, while Lubbock hangs Bollock, completing the mission. The next day, after a hard-fought battle while watching everything from afar, a blushing Mine tells Tatsumi that after this terrible war, she wants to talk with him and makes him promise the same thing as Akame, to survive no matter what. Together, they look towards the future, and Mine appears more determined than ever to fight for the revolution. Honest and his group of government officials gather in the palace, noting with concern the rapid advance of the revolutionary army. Panic begins to set in until Budo intervenes, firmly declaring that he will protect the kingdom at all costs. One seizes the moment to introduce Shura and his elite unit to the officials. With excessive confidence, Shura assures that he can handle the situation and that Budo's involvement is unnecessary. However, Budo dismisses his comment, noting that there are some rats that come before the whole swarm. At the Jaeger's residence, Wave comments on the notable absence of half of their members fallen in battle. Run enters with food. It seems that in this anime, everything is solved with delicious dishes, and they both discuss the state of the revolution. Wave, frustrated, expresses that the Jaegers should be actively helping instead of remaining inactive. The tension briefly eases when Kurom asks for a second serving, but soon collapses unconscious due to the injury inflicted by Chelsea. Outside the palace, soldiers gather and prepare for the revolution, observed with great concern by Tatsumi and Lubbock. Underground, Leon and Mine walk through a sewer path, where Leon teases Mine about her relationship with Tatsumi, making the latter nervous. In some ruins in a forest, Nagenda, Akame, and Susanoo prepare for the imminent revolution. In an alley, the green-haired boy and our protagonist wait to meet an agent of the Revolutionary Army. While waiting, Lubbock teases Tatsumi about Mine. When Tatsumi denies any involvement and Lubbock asks if they had kissed, the agent arrives. She guides them to a secret area in the palace where a Revolutionary Army meeting is supposed to take place. However, upon arrival, they discover that everyone at the meeting has been massacred and the building explodes, revealing a trap. They find themselves surrounded by a group including Budo and Sura, thus unleashing a fierce battle. Tatsumi faces Budo, but quickly proves to be inferior to the general, being easily defeated and captured. Lubbock fights against Sura, who taunts him by displaying the teleportation powers of his Tegu. Lubbock tries to move to areas not marked by Sura, only to discover that everything in the palace, even the air, is marked. He seizes the opportunity to set traps with Cross Tail, but is betrayed by the previous agent, who reveals she is working for Sura due to her family's captivity. Angered by the interference, Sura kills the agent, revealing that her family had been dead for a long time. Sura then transports Lubbock to a separate dimension, claiming that no one has ever escaped from there. However, Lubbock drags Sura into the dimension with him, declaring that he has no right to use others as tools. Lubbock drives a weapon through Sura's heart, killing him. Both are then transported back to the palace thousands of feet in the air with no means of escape. Lubbock, without his wire, accepts his fate. He lands on a pile of spears, dying instantly, to Tatsumi's horror. Later, with Tatsumi imprisoned, Budo reports to Honest about what has happened. At first, Honest seems annoyed by Sura's death, but quickly dismisses it, to Budo's great displeasure. Esdeath enters and requests custody of Tatsumi. The next day, the public execution of our protagonist is announced, leaving the rest of Night Raid stunned. And from my perspective, this anime doesn't allow us to become attached to the characters because it gradually eliminates them. Mine, determined to rescue Tatsumi, tries to do so on her own, but Akame stops her, warning that she cannot face such a mission alone. In the end, Akame decides to join her to help. Then Leon appears, supporting Akame's decision and joining the rescue as well. Nagenda arrives and assigns Night Raid an emergency mission to save Tatsumi and prevent his execution. Later, Esdeath visits Tatsumi in his cell. After discovering his true loyalty, she asks him to abandon Night Raid and join the Jagers, something we already know is impossible. Tatsumi flatly refuses, willing to die fighting for his comrades. Esdeath, although hurt by the rejection, decides that she will execute Tatsumi personally. The Jagers find out about Esdeath's plan the following day. Wave questions how it is possible for Esdeath to want to kill someone she loves, and Run responds that Esdeath would prefer to be the one to end his life if he must die. Kurom compares the situation to her own, as she also wants to be the one to kill her sister Akame. During the public execution in a stadium larger than Camp Nou, the Emperor denounces Tatsumi and his involvement in Night Raid, seeking to maintain peace in the kingdom. Just as Esdeath is about to kill him, Mine intervenes, firing shots to disperse the crowd. Nagenda, Leon, and Susanoo arrive with explosives to separate Esdeath from Tatsumi. General Budo intervenes, facing off against Leon and Mine, while Nagenda and Susanoo fight against Esdeath. Akame, on her part, fights against the capital's guards and recovers the confiscated Incursio. Although Susanoo proves to be inferior to Esdeath, Nagenda enhances him with a Magatama manifestation, but still cannot match her. Meanwhile, Budo overpowers Leon and relentlessly attacks Mine. In a final effort, Mine uses all of her strength to unleash a destructive explosion, killing Budo and destroying his Tegu, but she collapses from exhaustion. Akame frees Tatsumi, who catches Mine as she falls. Meanwhile, Esdeath freezes time to gain an advantage over Susanoo. Nagenda uses the Magatama manifestation again at the cost of her health to revive Susanoo, who sacrifices himself to give Night Raid time to escape. Esdeath acknowledges Susanoo as a true warrior before finally defeating him, and here we lose another character we were growing fond of. Mine, mortally wounded, confesses her love to Tatsumi before dying in his arms, causing Tatsumi to scream in anguish. Yes, cry, it's alright, I am too. At the Night Raid hideout, the remaining members mourn the deaths of Lubbock, Susanoo, and Mine. Tatsumi, confused, asks why they risked so much to save him, and Nagenda explains that the public execution would have demoralized the Revolutionary Army, and eliminating Budo was a significant achievement. Leon comforts Nagenda, who who is grieving for Susanoo, recognizing that he fulfilled his mission. Akame assures them that they must carry the emotions and duties of the fallen members, and Leon insists on completing their objective so their comrades can rest in peace. Magenda, who seems to have a shield around her feelings, is truly affected and in her room expresses her sorrow for losing Susanoo, who risked himself to save his leader. In the capital, Wave and the soldiers attempt to contain a riot but fail. Wave, frustrated, wonders how to stop the rebellion. Run calms him, stating that they will be needed when chaos arrives. Run reveals his desire to change the kingdom from within, while Kurome remains loyal to his wishes. Meanwhile, Esdeath cannot help but be happy that Tatsumi survived and promises to go after him after dealing with the rebel army. The Emperor, worried about the imminent rebellion, wonders if he has been a bad ruler, but Onest reassures him that he has done nothing wrong. Meanwhile, Kurome's condition worsens and she decides it is time to settle things with Akame. As she watches the men on the cross, Akame notices a code on a rebel corpse, realizing it is from Kurome, and plans to meet her. Tatsumi tries to stop her, but Akame insists on going alone, promising to return alive. At the meeting, the sisters recall their past as assassins trained by the capital. Kurome, angry, accuses Akame of betrayal, while Akame justifies her decision due to the kingdom's corruption. As expected, they quickly start fighting, but are interrupted by a danger beast. They work together temporarily to defeat it, resuming their duel afterward. Wave intervenes, but Tatsumi stops him. The enemy, though reluctant to fight, accepts that it is sometimes necessary. Kurome hints at her feelings for Wave before resuming the fight with Akame, who finally kills her with Murasame. Wave, devastated by Kurome's death, laments, but Akame tells him that his intervention was enough. Carrying Kurome's body, Wave questions his struggle, and Akame responds that only the determined have the right to wield a weapon. Akame collapses and Tatsumi comforts her, recognizing her burden and determination, saying that he doesn't want to lose more loved ones. Back at the palace, Onest takes the Emperor to the supreme Tegu of the kingdom, declaring that it is time to show the rebels their mistake. The Emperor decides to use its power to protect the kingdom. Wave visits Kurome's grave on the outskirts of the capital. He reflects on his past and how he idolized a general in the army. He confesses that he no longer knows why he is fighting, now that the rebellion is underway and the corruption of the capital is evident. Meanwhile, at the night raid hideout, Tatsumi, Akame, and Leon discuss their future after the rebellion. Magenda enters, thanks the three for their efforts, and reveals the final mission: to assassinate Prime Minister Onest and complete the rebellion. The next day, Agenda and the Revolutionary Army launch a frontal attack on the capital to distract while Tatsumi, Akame, and Leon infiltrate the palace. Run stops them, confessing that he shares Night Raid's motives but criticizes their methods, a significant confession by the way. He attacks with his Tegu and reveals his past as a teacher in a poor village, where his students were kidnapped and murdered without the capital acknowledging the crime. Leon and Run argue about morality, ending with Leon stopping him while Akame and Tatsumi head towards the Prime Minister. In the throne room, the Emperor learns of the rapid growth of the rebellion and doubts his governance. Onest reassures him of his innocence and blames the rebels. He advises the Emperor to be cruel to demonstrate his power. Tatsumi and Akame enter and attack Onest, but they are blocked. The Emperor accuses Night Raid of causing chaos, but Tatsumi tries to convince him that Onest has manipulated him. Onest denies it, claiming everything was for the Emperor. Tatsumi criticizes him for his lies and tells him that the empire is finished. Onest, furious, orders the Emperor to use the most powerful Tegu, Shikutaser. The Emperor unleashes the beast, destroying large portions of the capital with energy beams to demonstrate his power. Onest praises his actions, claiming he is a true emperor. Tatsumi tries to fight the Emperor, criticizing his destruction, but is silenced and blamed for the chaos. Onest warns the Emperor not to listen to Tatsumi. The Emperor, blinded by power, follows Onest's words, enraging Tatsumi. Our protagonist mocks the Emperor for being manipulated by Onest. His attempts to stop the Emperor fail as he weakens. Wave arrives to save Tatsumi, promising to help him defeat the Emperor. Onest accuses him of treason, but Wave ignores him, affirming his duty to protect the people. Leon and Run are doing something unprecedented. They join forces to save civilians, ending their fight. Run declares that he is no longer on the side of the capital. Together, they attack Shikutaser, but its defense is impenetrable. Tatsumi discovers that Shikutaser's abdomen is its weak point. Wave distracts it while Tatsumi attacks, but both are severely injured. A desperate Emperor pleads with Tatsumi to surrender, but our protagonist activates a golden form of Incursio and destroys Shikutaser, surprising Onest. Shikutaser falls towards a group of civilians and Tatsumi stops it with his last remaining strength, resulting in fatal injuries. Akame runs to him and Tatsumi apologizes for not being able to keep his promise. Akame weeps as our protagonist sadly dies in her arms. The Emperor laments his defeat and wonders if the Empire has truly fallen, while Isdith walks with sorrow towards the bodies of Akame and Tatsumi. After the fall of the Emperor and the death of our protagonist, Isdith justifies Tatsumi's death by pointing out his weakness, though she cannot ignore an unfamiliar emotion that overwhelms her after his loss. The soldiers of the Revolutionary Army, seeing her, attack, as she is the last defender of the Empire. Using her Taegu, Isdith quickly eliminates them, destroying the palace and rendering Tatsumi's sacrifice futile. Akame confronts her, questioning her motivation since the Empire has been defeated and there is nothing left to gain. Isdith responds that she only seeks to be the winner and will provoke more wars if necessary. Akame decides to put an end to SDF, convinced that she cannot allow someone like her to remain alive. The battle between Akame and Isdith begins. The high-ranking general of the Empire and the leader of the Jagers, excited to face such a skilled opponent, ignores Akame's questions and offers her a position as her subordinate, an offer that Akame was undoubtedly going to reject. Isdith states that refusal can only lead to death according to the rules of the world. Akame, disagreeing, declares that human lives should not be scorned, something that Isdith does not understand. The fight continues with Isdith demonstrating her superiority and dominating Akame. With Akame immobilized, Isdith declares that the weak do not deserve to face her. Akame asks what she thinks about human lives, and Isdith responds with indifference towards the weak. Enraged, Akame attacks her, surprising her, obviously making it one of the most anticipated fights. Akame cuts herself with mercilessly, gaining strength from its curse. Isdith gets excited upon seeing Akame's trump card. Akame asserts that she has killed many people, and that mercilessly remembers all those she has slain, carrying that burden on her shoulders. Akame vows to defeat Isdith, even at the cost of her own life. With her newfound power, Akame can fight on equal footing with Isdith, who defends herself with ice, but Akame pierces through it, wounding Isdith's left arm with mercilessly. Poisoned, Isdith amputates her arm, showing emotion as she loses control. The fight continues with Isdith throwing blood into Akame's eyes to blind her, but Akame quickly recovers. She notices that her new powers are waning and realizes she must finish the fight as soon as possible. Isdith uses Mahapadma, freezing time. While attempting to kill Akame, a residual image of her takes her place, and Akame cuts her from above when Mahapadma fades. Surprised, Isdith asks how Akame could move during Mahapadma. Akame responds that Isdith was only seeing an image of her bloodlust. Isdith accepts her defeat and moves towards Tatsumi's corpse, wishing to be by his side. She freezes herself next to him in ice, which then explodes, destroying both bodies. Akame and Negenda mourn Tatsumi's death while Wave and Run bid farewell to Isdith, affirming that both are finally at peace. Honest, attempting to escape, arrogantly believes he can retake the Empire but is captured by Leon, who won't let him escape alive. Honest calls for his guards, but without the Emperor, no one comes to his aid. Leon confronts him, and though Honest destroys Lionel and returns her to her human form, Leon, despite the pain, hits him hard. Honest, unable to understand why Leon acts this way, is condemned by her for his crimes. Leon strikes him repeatedly, crushing his head and completing Night Raid's mission. With Honest's death, the war ends. After the revolution, Akame and Leon meet at the wall surrounding the palace and bid farewell as Night Raid is no longer needed. The citizens celebrate the victory and a parade takes place. Leon, wounded, heads to an alley where she dies. The Emperor is sentenced to the guillotine by Negenda for the devastation caused. Before dying, he asks Negenda to rebuild the kingdom without more bloodshed. Negenda promises to fulfill this, and the Emperor is decapitated. Wave and Run visit Kurone's grave, promising to help the new kingdom. In Tatsumi's hometown, everyone celebrates, unaware that Hiseo and Ieyasu have died. In the capital, the citizens work together to rebuild. Akame and Negenda meet, impressed by the speed of the recovery. Negenda, with her shortened life expectancy, decides to use her remaining time to rebuild the kingdom. Akame offers to take responsibility for the Revolutionary Army's wrongdoings. She thanks Negenda for allowing her to join Night Raid, and they part ways with Negenda wishing her survival. Later, the existence of Night Raid is erased from the records. Akame, on her part, after the war that has claimed many of her loved ones, wanders through a desert ambushed by TU users. She declares that, as a survivor, she carries the feelings of her fallen comrades and prepares for battle. The end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new anime recaps.